Tubular tyres are an old technology. Even so, they're still used by some pro teams. There's some absolute bargains to be picked up online, and I think it's a maintenance task which is still good to know how to do, in case, just like me, you end up buying an old school bike and spend time fixing it up. So this week, I'm going to be gluing some tubular tyres onto some wheels as part of that project. Right, let's get to it. First thing you need to know is that tubular tyres work in a very different way to clincher or tubeless tyres. They're a completely sealed casing with an inner tube inside. These exact ones are from Pirelli, who help support our channel, and inside here is a lightweight thermoplastic inner tube. These exact tubular tyres are just the same as what some pro teams are using, and I thought it'd be great to fit them onto my retro Trek. However, I encountered a problem. These modern tubular tyres are too big to fit into the frame, so I had to go out and buy some cheaper alternatives that are in a smaller size. Tubular tyres are going to need a tubular wheel, which has a shallow curved rim bed where glue is applied to, and then you can stick the two parts together. So what's the process involved here? Well, you're going to need your tubular tyres that definitely fit into your bike frame. You're also going to need a set of tubular wheels. These could be secondhand or brand new. And then on top of that, you're also going to need some tubular glue. This one has a brush built into the lid. If not, you're going to need a brush as well. You're going to need some isopropyl alcohol, some abrasive paper, and a clean cloth to wipe everything up afterwards. Now, for simplicity, I have done a lot of the prep work here already, not only to try and save time, but also because the wheels that I'm using are second-hand and already have a good layer of glue on them. But if you are starting from scratch with brand new tyres and brand new wheels, the process is going to be slightly different to what I'm going to show here, but let me quickly explain it to you. So, first thing you're going to need to do is get your abrasive paper and rough up the new surface of the rim bed. That way, when you clean it, the glue is going to have a really nice surface of which it can adhere to. And you need to do exactly the same for your new tubular tyres. Then you need to apply a layer of glue onto the wheel rim, a layer of glue onto the tubular tyre, leave that for 24 hours, and then we're going to be back in the situation where we're at now. And then we can continue on. When you're applying the glue onto the wheel rim bed, it's important to get a nice even layer and make sure the glue goes all the way from one side completely to the other, rather than just focusing on that central bit, because it's the edge sections where the main bit of adhesion needs to happen between the rim and the tyre. And you need to do the same principle when you're gluing the tubular tyre as well. Nice, smooth, even coverage of the glue the whole way round. Now, I find it's easiest to start at the wheel valve hole, and then you can work all your way around. Do the same on the tubular tyre. That way, you're not going to miss any of those areas. So what I need to do now is clean up this wheel surface with a clean cloth and some isopropyl alcohol, and then it's ready for its final layer of glue on the wheel rim, and then I can do exactly the same on the tubular tyre before then mounting them back together. That is where things start to get a little bit tricky, because it is a little bit of a wrestling process. To try and help alleviate that problem, the easiest thing to do is to place your tubular tyres on an old set of wheels for a few days beforehand, inflate them, and that way it's going to stretch them so they're a little bit bigger and easier to fit. Right, let's get some isopropyl alcohol onto this cloth. You don't need to get loads on there, you're just cleaning this top surface. And then take that and then wipe and work your way around the whole surface of the wheel rim, just to make sure there isn't any dirt or dust residue left on there that's going to impact how well the glue adheres to the wheel rim. One wheel done, two wheels on a bike. Let's clean this one up, just the same process. Yeah, just the same. So this is the stage where we're actually ready to start using the glue. Now, I'm out here in my garage, it doesn't really matter if I get a little bit of glue everywhere, but do put down something over the floor, because you don't want to get this stuff on, say, a carpet or any surface that you want to keep nice and clean and shiny. And you also need to be mindful of, tubular glue is actually pretty stinky stuff. So we're going to have the door wide open to get some ventilation in here. And yeah, you just need to be a little bit mindful of it. If you're not confident that you can keep it off your hands, wear some gloves. And really, it's just a case of taking your time. Now, what I am going to do is put a layer of glue onto one of the wheel rims first. I can set that to the side, then apply a thin layer of glue onto the tubular tyre, and then set to work putting them together. You do need to take your time. Don't try and rush this. This is a job where you need to have some patience. And well, yeah, let's start gluing. Right, 3, 2, 1, let's get gluing. So as you are applying the glue, I've already mentioned it's important to get it right up to the edge of this inner rim surface, but you also want to make sure you're avoiding any drips or glue running over the side onto the braking surface, because not only is it going to make your brakes pretty grabby and juddery, it's going to also mean you have to spend time cleaning it all the way off of that braking surface, which is just a rubbish thing to have to do. So just take a little bit of care and you should be okay. So that's the first wheel done and dusted. I've gone the whole way round. Now I need to lay this flat, set it to a side somewhere, and then get glue in the tubular tyre before I can put the two things together and start to wrestle and hopefully not swear at it. Right, set this to the side, get our tyre. Just like that, here's our tubular tyre. This has already been pre-stretched, as I mentioned earlier, and I've already got one coat of glue all the way around this base tape, because when the base tape is brand new, it's going to soak all that glue straight up and it's really acting to seal it. So when we go all the way around this time, we're then going to be ready to put the two things together. Same principle as the wheel, start the valve, work our way around, and we don't need to go all the way to the edge of the base tape because the wheel rim sits at a much narrower width than what the base tape does. So as long as we've got this central channel covered in glue, we should all be fine. Right, izzy wizzy, let's get glue in, as the famous phrase goes. What I tend to do is keep my hand on the point where it is that I've stopped applying glue before, and that way I've got a little visual marker that where the point is that I'm pinching the tyre is where I've started and where I'm going to finish. Just imagine how bad it would have been for pro mechanics before clincher and tubeless tyres became the norm. And I would have to do this for like hundreds of wheels and tyres at the start of every race season. God, I wouldn't wish that upon anyone. Right, that's it. The whole way around the tyre base tape done and dusted. Put the glue to one side. Now is when the real hard work starts, because putting the two things together is tough. So what you need to do is make sure you've got the tubular tyre facing the correct way of rotation relative to the wheel. You need to start the valve. And what we're going to do, I'm going to just talk through it rather than trying to do it all at the same time. Put the valve in, and then with two hands either side, we're then going to apply some pressure and try and stretch the tyre as wide as we can, and then gradually lift it up and over onto the rim. I want to try and avoid dragging the tyre over because it's going to scrape some of the glue off and put most of it onto one side. So it's like up and over. Once we've got the whole tyre onto the wheel, we can work to centralise it so that the tread is actually running straight relative to the wheel rather than wobbling all over itself if we do a really bad job. Wish me luck. Okay, valve straight into the valve hole. I've got the tyre oriented the correct way round. So let's put this in, get that lined up, and then position the tyre and stretch as much as we can possibly stretch at the same time. Try and lift it up and over. God. Pressure's on. So up and over if we can, and then up and over. Find a little bit where it gets tough. Up and over. So step one is on, which is a good sign. But if I spin this now, you'll see how wobbly the treadle is. And it's not quite sat centrally. So what I need to do is hold the wheel like this to let it balance. Then I can see where I've got to move the tyre to make sure that I can get the tread to sit central. Again, start at the valve, then work our way around. So, on the stick, and rotate the tyre around a little bit as we go. So you can see if you follow the base tape round, you can see some sections are exposed a little bit more than others. And we can look at both sides. We want to try and get the amount of base tape out to be comparable in all the different areas. Like here, Well, that side's not too bad. Yeah, so if we give it a little spin, then we can see what bits are good and what bits are bad. It's not ideal. What I can also do is let a little bit of the air pressure out, like this. And then I can put my body weight onto the tyre like this, and roll sections of it along to make sure all of it's in contact, and also it's going to help push and get the tyre to sit level on the rim. So tyre is all the way on. It's sat as centrally as I could get it to. I've then rolled it along the floor to press down all of the different areas to make sure the glue has got a good adhesion between the tyre and the wheel rim. And then what I need to do now is simply pump it up to its maximum working pressure, which on most tubular tyres is written on the side, but is much, much higher than what you would expect with a clincher or tubeless tyre. So I'm going to pump it up and then give that time to not only let the glue dry, but as it's got the pressure inside the tyre, it's hopefully going to help it sit and get position itself centrally, basically. So let's do it. Right, let's pump this up. Let's risk the moment of truth. Oh, that's not bad. There you go, look at that. That's looking acceptable. Tubular tyre experts, such as old school pro team mechanics, might question that could be slightly better. But for someone like me, who is not an expert at gluing tubular tyres, I think I've done a good job here. All I need to do now is repeat the exact same process and minor struggle at the end of installing it on the front wheel as well. We should be good to go. One wheel down, one wheel to go. Right, let's glue. This one's not looking too bad. Hold that up. Pretty straight there. Oh, again, it's not bad. Right, job done. 2 tubular tyres, prepped, glued, mounted onto the wheels. Now in reality, that has just taken probably well over an hour's worth of time, not including the prep work that I'd done beforehand. So if you are going to do this job, I think you're going to need to allow yourself a couple of hours as well as a couple of hours of prep beforehand to get ready to be in the situation to glue these things together. Now, over time, tubular tyres are going to need to be checked periodically to make sure that there is still a good adhesion between the tyre and the wheel rim. And well, anyone that says setting up tubeless tyres is a faff, I want to know whether you've tried setting up a set of tubular tyres yourselves. That way, I think we can all agree tubeless isn't actually that much of a faff. Anyway, hope you found it interesting and informative to see how to glue a set of tubular tyres onto a set of wheels. And if you want to see these wheels and tyres in action, well, they're going to be included in part of the upgrade that I'm going to be making to my dream bike. So subscribe to GCNTech to make sure you don't miss out. And of course, let me know in the comments section down below if you've ever glued a set of tubular tyres yourself. I'm out of here. See you later.